So you get around this strait, you're heading into, there's the UAE, there's Saudi Arabia. This is where, an enormous amount of the world's shipping, not oil in particular, but shipping in general, flows through. And so control of this sea route is critical, not just strategically, economically, but also militarily in the event of a war. And so if you look at that port over there, you can see that it is one of the most important locations that you could possibly have. It is something that the United States has been eyeing warily for many, many years, that they have known that Pakistan and China have a close relationship. Mm-hmm. They've known that China has wanted to militarize this port for its, and also develop it strategically, economically.
And this is a huge player in the Houthi situation as well, right? Fears that this could escalate into the Strait of Hormuz.
Right, you've had all sorts of,
literally right now,
economic difficulties around the world because of the way that the Houthis have been able to shut down shipping, around that area. It shows how, shows how important this entire region is. So if you roll back a little bit, what's happening in Pakistan, and people should read the entire story to get the full context of what's going on. Pakistan, the kind of prime minister has had dominion over. Dominion is too strong a word, but has had influence over domestic policy, whereas the military traditionally managed foreign affairs. Here in the United States, the civilians are supposed to manage everything. That's how it ought to work. That the compromise, so to speak, that the military allowed in Pakistan is, we'll let the prime minister do a few things internally. Imran Khan did things like brought about like a version of Medicare for all, like expanded health care to people. They're like, all right, you want to do that as long as we can still have our graft and we still control foreign policy, fine. But then Imran Khan started getting involved in foreign affairs. He had a good relationship with the Trump administration, interestingly, given that the Trump administration was in the middle of enacting a Muslim ban. But they got along well, the two of them. The Biden administration and Imran Khan, not so well. He famously tried to get a call from Biden after Biden was elected, couldn't do it. Like it just, there was something about that relationship that the Biden administration wanted distance in. So then in June 2021, he sits down with Jonathan Swan of Axios, actually, Axios at the time, and Swan asks, if the Taliban takes over in Afghanistan, will you allow, drone flights out of Pakistan? That was a key element of the Biden administration's what they called over-the-horizon approach. They said, we're going to project power over the horizon. We don't need to occupy Afghanistan because our over-the-horizon capacity is unparalleled. Key to that over-the-horizon capacity was being able to operate out of Pakistan. Imran Khan said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And so that was looked at by the United States as a major affront to them. Then in February of 2022, Imran Khan had a long-planned state visit to Moscow that coincided with the invasion, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. tried to put pressure on him to turn around, come back, cancel the trip, or at minimum denounce the Russian invasion. Imran Khan refused. He said, and at a rally, he said, "What are we, your slaves? That we're going to just do what you tell us?" He said, "We're going to remain neutral. We are friends with Ukraine. We are friends with Russia. This is a war between them," because Pakistan desperately needs, grain from both, energy from both. Like they don't. It's not in their interest to get in the middle of that conflict. Around this time, the State Department official Don Liu, 2 weeks later, meets with the Pakistan ambassador and says, "Listen, we are very bothered by this." What he calls aggressive neutrality that Imran Khan is taking between Ukraine and Russia. But the United States believes that it is a policy of the prime minister alone, not a policy of Pakistan government more broadly. And if Imran Khan is removed in a no confidence vote, all will be forgiven from the United States and everything will be cool. Just days later, weeks later, the army chief gives a televised address where he denounces the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So breaking with the prime minister, the army then orchestrates the no confidence vote that the U.S. had said it wanted to see happen. They put pressure on a number of Imran Khan's party officials who had links to the military and who could be compromised by the military. They flip their votes. They oust Imran Khan, and then they start shifting back toward the United States. So if you remember, Nancy Pelosi travels to Taiwan for August, September of 2022. And this is after they have ousted Imran Khan. And China goes to all of its allies, and they want a full-throated denunciation of Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Pakistan demurs. They put out a little statement that is extremely mild, and it kind of infuriates the Chinese. Like, you're not going to stand with us? They call it an iron brotherhood they're supposed to have between Pakistan and China. In October of that year, as we report in this article, Bajwa, who's the military chief, finally gets what he's been demanding of the United States, or begging of the United States, which is a state visit to the U.S. While he's in Washington, he gets to meet with the top officials. He also, at the Pakistan ambassador's residence, he meets with a bunch of kind of foreign policy heads here in Washington, and he tells them he doesn't really like the Chinese. They've always loved the United States. And he says two things that really raise eyebrows to make the point. He says he loves American sitcoms from the 90s.
Many such cases?
His favorite, Married with Children.
Married with Children?
Married with Children, which is excellent, by the way.
I'm surprised that you're willing to go to the mat for Married with Children, given the various political incorrectness.
It's satire.
It's satire, you're right.
It's absolutely genius.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely
Married with
genius show. And he adds he doesn't even like Chinese food. So he's sending a very clear this leaks out, of course, to the Chinese.
Important to establish that
as well.
Right.
And back in New York, the Pakistani representative to the UN starts getting chided by the Chinese representative there, like these sarcastic comments about, no, you're best friends now with the U.S. Like what happened to us? At the same time, China keeps telling Pakistan, look, we do not see ourselves as in a Cold War, a zero-sum Cold War with the United States. Like, it is okay if you want to have good relations with the United States. That does not mean you have to have bad relations with us. We don't see it that way. But what our reporting shows is that Pakistan understands that that's how the United States sees it, that they have to pick one or the other. So this whole time they're having a very difficult balance, but they choose the United States. They figure United States is the way to go. And at first it starts to pay off. As we also reported, Pakistan not only stops becoming neutral, they start producing 155 millimeter shells for Ukraine.
Yep.
Because they're very good at making these like low-grade, crappy shells, which are the kind of shells that are important for this kind of stalemated war in Ukraine, where you're just lobbing endless cheap munitions at the other side.
And it's a boost to the Pakistani economy.
Boost the Pakistani economy. Right. And the U.S. secretly agrees to let Pakistan use this clandestine weapons program as basically collateral financing for an IMF loan that comes in.
Lovely.
And so the IMF loan is supposed to help stabilize things.
Many such cases.
The IMF loan, because Pakistan is such a basket case and because it's not following through on any of its commitments when it comes to reforms, doesn't fully come through, and the economy keeps collapsing. And because it keeps spiraling out of control, they have to go back to China. And that's where our story comes in. They go back to China and they're like, look,
we love Chinese food.
We love Chinese food. Married with Children, really kind of problematic in some of its depictions. Not a huge fan. Love you guys. What can you do? And basically the what that they need is China has lent them a bunch of money that is coming due. They need those loans refinanced at a nice rate, or else they're completely screwed because they're not getting money in from anywhere else. And so China is like, well,